meet everyone. If you are all comfortable with showing us your faces, then we know who we're talking to. If you're not, or if you're busy or you're taking this call at work or wherever you're at, that's okay too. Feel free to keep your cameras off. We completely understand. But thank you so much for joining us this afternoon here on our offsite information session here. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Hector Silva. I'm one of the instructors here at Offsite, along with these other wonderful instructors. I'm going to let the other instructors kind of say hello and introduce themselves, and then we can kind of jump in and learn more about the courses that they teach. We have some alumni that are going to share a little bit about their experiences and what they're up to now. And then, of course, we're going to open it up for all of you to ask any burning questions you might have, and then kind of go from there. But we're going to keep it super chill, very, very casual. Yeah, we'll kick things off with Michael, if you just want to introduce yourself a little bit here.
Hey everybody, my name's Michael DiTullo. For the last 27 years, I've been a practicing industrial designer, had design leadership roles at Nike, Frog Design, was chief design officer at a consumer electronics conglomerate before becoming an independent consultant and starting my own small studio 9 years ago. And I teach business and design, which is not a course about making you a business person. It's a course to try to teach you about some of the lessons I learned the hard way, so that your ideas advance more quickly in corporate structure.
Thank you so much, Michael. Let's give it over to Dom.
Hey guys, my name is Dom. I'm an industrial designer with 10 years of experience, and I also have my own small design firm called Amoni, based basically across the US and Latin America. I'm normally based in Colombia, but this is going to be a very special cohort if you are thinking about taking manufacturing, a manufacturing instructor, because I'll be located in China for the duration of our class. So you'll be getting insights directly from the factory floor in the classroom. And so why manufacturing for me is so important as a designer, because it's really what separates, for me, people that live in like concept-y fun world from actual design professionals who get things made and get them done. Especially by applying those real-world constraints like feasibility, we'll say manufacturability, materiality, and especially cost, and see how those things basically affect your design. So if you want to design things that are a bit more realistic and things that are actually makeable, shippable, and producible, then I recommend taking my class.
All right, thank you so much, Dom. I'm going to hand things over to Jack.
Yeah, hey everybody, Jack Marple here. I industrial designer for about 10 years now as well. Run my own design practice based out of Salt Lake City called Orchestra, where I work on a variety of stuff from consumer electronics to lifestyle stuff to furniture to whatever. So I co-teach the workflow class with Tyler, who you'll hear from next, and I'm also teaching the new studio class this year, which is going to be super great, sponsored by Logitech. So yeah, if you're interested in kind of figuring out design process, how to implement CAD tools and visualization tools to be able to get to a presentable concept to a client quickly, that's kind of what our courses are about. So
all right,
good to see everybody.
Thank you so much, Jack. I'm gonna hand things over to your partner in crime, Tyler, if you're able to just unmute and say a couple things about yourself.
Absolutely. Hey, yeah. So I'm Tyler Anderson. Again, sorry, I'm traveling, so video off, but I teach workflow alongside Jack Marple. We've been teaching the class together for about 5 years now. And prior to starting the class, Jack and I worked for a studio called Enlisted Design. Jack was a senior industrial designer. I was mid-level and then eventually senior. And it's really a class that we wish we had when we were in school. We realized kind of our first exposure to true professional workflows were at our first internships rather than from our professors. There was a lot of telling us what to do and not a lot of showing us what to do in school. So we run an accelerated project and just dive into, hey, here's our approach to using our CAD and visualization tools within the design process. And It's been really fun so far. Yeah, looking forward to teaching this next cohort. I also run the platform Render Weekly, if you've heard of that. So that's kind of been my side project and just a really fun practice ground. So we'll dive into some of the techniques we use there as well.
Just a funny anecdote to that. Just you made me think of Tyler and Jack, like your course in specific. A university, I won't say which, had me come in to review some student work. They were 2/3 of the way through a 2-semester project, so I think they were at like, week 15 of 20, and I looked at the work and I was like, "What did you do for the other 14 weeks?" And just thinking of like what you guys do and how we work, it's so incredibly different than sometimes the process you're presented in school, right? So
Yeah, the speed at which you're expected to output in school is pretty low.
I would love a 20-week project.
right. One 20-week project, like instead of running 3 8-week projects
Right.
concurrently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's more like real life.
So we do have, thank you so much, instructors, for just quickly introducing yourself, a little bit what you do and the courses that you teach. We have a couple of instructors that are running a little late, so they're going to join us and you will get to meet them momentarily. But I'm going to shift things over to a couple of our alumni that have been gracious enough to give us their time to come in and say hello and just say a couple things on when did you join Offsite as a student, and would love to hear about your journey here at Offsite. Just a disclaimer, these are not paid actors. These are real people who are part of our community. So I'm going to have Julie go first.
Hello, I'm Julie. I took Offsite back in spring of 2021. So 5 years ago now, back when I was a student for industrial design. And then I've taken some electives since then. I took CMF last summer, and I'm now a CMF designer because of it, pretty much. And I'm also on the experience team with Offsite, which I'm going to learn more about. But basically, we kind of help students make sure they have the best experience possible going through the program.
All right. Thank you, Julie. And then last but not least, we're going to have Vin go next.
Cool. Yes. Hello, guys. I'm Vinay. You can call me Vinny for short. I joined Offsite last year, I think in the Feb-March cohort, which is I guess spring. I'm not sure exactly, the spring or summer. And yeah, it's been exactly almost a year, and it's crazy because I started out as a student then. I was a bit unsure, and Offsite just kind of catalyzed my entire journey from building my portfolio to landing my first internship, and now today I start my full-time job. So it's like I didn't expect that in 1 year all this would happen. So I'm really grateful to Offsite and the community, and I can say so much about each teacher, like with Michael and his business classes and the insight into how things work. It really helped me in my internship as well when it came to projects. I wish I paid more attention in Dominic's class because manufacturing is coming to bite me in the ass now. And I'm kind of dealing with that now. Even today, when I started my first project, it was kind of like that. And I would say Tyler and Jack's class really helped me improve how my portfolio looks and how to actually get things done quickly with renders and stuff like that. And I think Katie is not here right now, but her class really helped me put together a really good portfolio, which got me here now. So you can always, there's a lot to learn from everyone in this course. So I would say it's like a great place to be at.
That's very awesome. And the cool part about it is that if you ever do need to reference some of the coursework, you get all the recordings, Vinny, so you can always go back and look at Tom's manufacturing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I go from there. Yeah.
I've heard from several students, they go back and watch the business and design one, like sometimes 2 years later, and they're like, "Oh, got it."
Absolutely. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to any of you. If you all have any questions, if not, I'd be more than happy to continue kind of having the instructors share. a little bit about the courses, and I can share a little bit about our structure and kind of go from there. But like I said, this is very casual. We want to meet you, and we want to make sure that we're kind of catering our program to your needs, because everyone comes to Offsite for a variety of different reasons, whether you're here for one course to kind of see what we do, or if we're here for the whole experience and prepare you for what's next, because everyone, again, is coming either just because they want their work elevated or they're looking for an internship, whatever the case may be. But yeah, we have a hand raised here, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you go first if you want to introduce yourself, and yeah, ask away. And tell us where you're from as well, either in the chat or as you introduce yourself. There you go. Oh, no, I'm still muted. Okay, so yeah, let's I think Elisa stepped out to probably come back in. So Andre, you have your hand raised, so yeah, feel free to ask away.
Awesome. Thank you guys for doing this first and foremost. I had a specific question about Offsite Studio. So I wanted to know specifically the, I guess, container that's being held in. How many design challenges can we expect? How much time will we have for them? I kind of just want to know what we'll be getting at the end.
That's a great question. I'm gonna go ahead and let Jack take that question.
Yeah, I can chat through that. Yeah, so it's going to be one design challenge, like one prompt given by Logitech at the beginning of the class, and we're going to run it like a studio project. So it's a 12-week course. So we'll do a little bit of research, we'll do a little bit of like brief setting and like success criteria and stuff like that, and then dive into building out the project, sketching, rendering, lots of opportunities to present to the class, like to your peers and to the instructor, and then to present in front of a Logitech a number of times, so you're able to present to the actual company to get critique and see like what their feedback is and how you might be able to shape the project better for the brand itself. So it's going to feel very much like a real client project, which I think is the best part about it. So yeah. And did that answer your question? Anything more specific you'd like to dive into?
Pretty much what I was looking for. Thank you very much, Jack.
Cool. Yeah, no worries.
And yeah, if anyone wants to come forward and ask questions, or you can also ask here in the chat, because Lisa did ask a question about the differences between sketching courses that we offer. Actually, we offer multiple sketching courses throughout the year. We also offer multiple portfolio courses throughout the year and multiple CAD courses throughout the year. Just to kind of clarify, in the spring and the summer seasons, we usually offer the full offset experience. We offer the most courses. We usually 10 to 12 courses. In the fall, we tend to wind down and we offer almost a quarter of the courses, so about 4 to 5. We tend to kind of slow down because yes, we do need a break as instructors and designers. Imagine teaching back to back to back. That's very exhausting. Not only that, our team also uses that time to strategize for the upcoming year. So the sketching courses, sketching 1 is in the Offsite student tier, and that is our introductory to industrial design tier. And then our other course, sketch methods, is in our advanced tier, and that is that's for designers who are already have a foundation in sketching, and now they want to use sketching as a tool to communicate to different stakeholders. So you're learning 2 different things. In the sketching 1 course, I actually teach it, and that is more foundational. I will show you how to sketch. I will show you how to build that confidence and give you a really, really strong foundation to sketch. And the sketch methods course, that is a little more advanced, and now you're learning different strategies, different methodologies. The vehicle is just sketching. So with that being said, actually we have our instructor, Elodie, is here, and she teaches sketch methods. So she can, I don't know, Elodie, if you can come forward and say hello and say a little bit about your class. There you are.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm joining a little bit late, but from the Netherlands, it's actually in the evening, so I have to travel back. Yes, so in Sketch Method, we actually go through the process, the design process from the very beginning, where we get a brief, or even like before, if there is a bit of a fuzzy beginning, like new value proposition, those kind of things. And we look on the process from like ideation and development and so on, and looking at who do we have to interface as designers, and how do we communicate with those people or those stakeholders, from people that are more collaboration and people that we have to convince, etc. So what sort of tools we can use and methods we can use. We touch a little bit on sketching, like the different style of sketching, but it's not necessarily about, okay, we are going to really deep dive into, you know, perspective or shading or this kind of thing. It's more about getting the right tool at the right time. And I also use a few of the workshop exercise that I use in my job, and also that gives you the tools to, if you have a workshop that you need to facilitate, or you have a project and you want to pull some other people in, then you can also use those methodology and those tools. So yeah, that's a little bit of an overview. If there is any specific question, I'm more than happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Elodie. Yeah, we were just kind of going over the differences between the first sketching course and then the advanced sketching course. But yeah, I mean, Elodie and I, our main goal, doesn't matter which sketching course you take, is making sure you have a strong foundation of how to use sketching and then how to use it to communicate your ideas effectively. With that being said, I want to introduce you to our other instructor who just joined, Spencer. And thank you so much for being here, Spencer. Multiple courses. And so I'll let you go.
Can you hear me okay, or is it sounding weird? Okay. Said it was causing echo. I just switched to Safari. So anyhow, hello everybody. So just to reiterate, Hector, we're just doing the courses we teach and then taking questions.
Just introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so apologies on being late. Was dealing with some stuff before this, and I'll have to dip just a few minutes before. But Spencer, I live in Salt Lake, not too far from Jack, actually. SLC. So Salt Lake City, Utah, originally from Jamaica. Some people know me online for sketching. I do a lot more. So here at Offsite, I actually typically don't teach sketching. I teach design discourse and digital tools, specifically Fusion. So that's CAD modeling. You could be just starting out, or you could be shifting the CAD app that you use. Maybe I've had people come from a background of using Blender or Rhino even in the class. It's just a different tool, makes you more marketable. So highly recommend if you're on the fence taking that. And I have a specific approach with how I teach. And then design discourse, think of it like a mix of a podcast, therapy, discussion group, which you might not immediately think makes you a better designer, but it's about kind of getting human, especially in this age of AI technology. We connect, we share vulnerable moments sometimes from personal experience or life, but I also give you tools to help navigate things like critique and difficult conversations with clients or with each other. And I see a few alumni here as well, so they've gone through. If you have questions about that, it's a little fuzzier class, if you will. I'm still trying to figure out how to concisely explain that. And then occasionally I will teach either workshops or in between what Hector teaches and Elodie, sketching 2, which is kind of like, okay, Hector gives you the introduction and a fun project to work through. Now let's sharpen up and work on kind of fundamentals in a different way, different instructor, different perspective, but meant to expand your ability to communicate and give you a bit more confidence in drawing. So again, one of those classes in the age of AI, you're like, why do I need to do this? You won't always have the ability to use other tools. So being sharp with your sketching or at least visual communication makes you more flexible. And just to further pitch the sketch classes, not just for me, but all of us. Think of it like being, you speak to someone who has a big vocabulary. They use big words like perfunctory, and you're like, what the hell was that? They might not always use those words, but what it does give you is the ability to be precise and to deliver a very clear message when you know a lot of words. So it's kind of like that with sketching. The better you are at it, you'll be truth be told, you might be sketching on a whiteboard, but you'll do it better than anybody else there.
There was a question similar in the chat, Spencer, and I was summing this up to someone the other day, to a student, and I was like, never make your career reliant on someone else's platform that can be pulled at any moment, right? So you need to be able to do the work and enjoy the work. And I think every instructor here loves what we do, and I think a lot of what we're trying to teach, Jack and Tyler said this earlier too, right? Like teaching a course that we wish we had, and a lot of the courses we teach are based on things that we've learned the hard way, and our goal is to help you to maybe shortcut some of those hard-won lessons, because we love what we do and we want to help you do it too.
Yeah, thanks for that, Michael. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions. Here to answer those for you. I will say it's hard to get all the instructors in the same place at the same time. This is actually pretty cool. So don't be shy.
Yeah.
Or not all of us, but this many anyways.
Yeah, we do have a couple of comments here. If you want to mute yourself, there you go. Thanks, Spencer. There's a question here. As someone who's looking to transition into the industry, we'd love to know from the professionals and alumni, what can we expect AI's influence will be on industrial design moving forward? And that is a question that I would love all the instructors to answer, just because everyone has different backgrounds, different views. But I can tell you, from Offsite's perspective, we want to make sure that you have a very strong foundation, and that like doesn't matter if AI happens now or is happening now, and in the future maybe another emerging technology happens. Your foundation will always, your foundation and your experience and all those skills that you have will allow you to just be a good designer in general, just having a good general baseline of what is good design and understanding these tools and techniques. So I'm going to go ahead and I don't know if any of the instructors want to come forward and share a little bit. I don't know if you want to get started, Michael, since I have you pinned here, and then I'll have
sure.
Come next.
Well, as maybe the person that's been doing this the longest on the call, when I first started design school in 1994, the first day we were setting up parallel rules and like using triangles and drafting, and by the time I graduated, that was all gone. And when I first started as a professional designer, we were like drawing full-scale blueprints and like folding them up and sending them to the factory, and that's all gone. We were like faxing sketches, and my point being is that, having done this for more than 25 years, the tools we use always change, but the core is the same. A crappy idea, well visualized, whether that's a beautiful sketch or AI rendering, still crappy idea, right? An idea, if you don't know how to make it, rendering it better won't make you know how to make it. So I think it's about learning how to problem solve, learning how to think. And as the chief creative officer of Frog once told me, the highest form of thinking is done with your hands, right? It's not about an output. Outputs are meaningless. It's about how you think and how you arrive at a destination. And you typically do that by doing things, not by prompting things. So if you're going to use a tool, that's fine. The best abstract artist in the world, Picasso, could paint amazingly, right? Realistically. So I think, as to build on what Hector said, you have to have the foundation first. And then if you want to use some cheat codes, you can. But if you don't have the foundation, you have no ability to judge your own work.
Thanks, Michael. Really appreciate that. And I'm going to go ahead and let Dom continue the conversation there.
Okay, I guess I'm pinned up here. No, I totally agree with Michael. I mean, I'd give the same example of Picasso. Like, if you look up Picasso's previous art, he was an amazing realist, but at the time, that was what dominated the art scene. And so he wanted to break out of that and do something different. But he dominated what was relevant at the time and what was expected at the time, and then was able to use that to break those rules. So I'm of the same camp. I don't think students should be incorporating AI into the workflow until the latter stages of their studies, because they should have a firm grasp on what those core foundational principles are. An example being, like, in design, at least when I went to school as well, we also had to learn drafting, which seems very strange because at that time it was already outdated, but we had to do things like marker renderings. But only once we had grasped those base techniques of, okay, how does the marker physically respond to the paper? What's happening with the tool as it's passing the texture over that sheet of paper? Can you begin to understand what's happening to it digitally? So then we moved into digital sketching, and then we moved on to like more advanced concepts from there. So for me, I would say try to learn things the old-fashioned way, dominate them, learn how to do things, especially by hand. I think that's something as well that we talk more and more about preserving craft in design, and a lot of it is just literally like people used to only do mock-ups with their hands, and that's something that's kind of being lost. Learn how to do that, learn how materials interact with each other, because that's going to help you so much more when you try to put things together in, like, say, CAD. And then after, if you try to actually make it, it's going to help you have more predictable outcomes, as opposed to just like randomly generating an image and being like, okay, I think this works. It looks nice, but maybe it's actually not feasible at all. Because that will really come to hurt you when you do the manufacturing side. I can tell you that. But yeah, that said, it can help you. If you are a good designer, it can help make you even better. If you are a bad designer, it's going to accelerate how bad you are. And so focus on becoming a good designer.
Nice. Very nice. I don't know if any other instructors have anything to add to that, but I
Yeah,
guess-
I'll pipe in, and just say that. And I know Tyler and I've kind of talked about this as well. Of like, it feels like, and I grew up playing music, so I see things a lot through that lens, and it feels like sometimes it feels like when you're using AI tools, it feels like you're playing like electronic music. You're like playing a synthesizer, and it's like it's magical and it can do a lot of things. But none of that really makes any sense if you don't have any of that bass music theory. Like I took piano lessons for so many years and figured out like scales and time signatures and all of the compositional things. Like you can't play a synthesizer well that connects with people, that really resonates at a human level, if you don't know all of the ways to be able to do that without that like quote unquote magical tool. So yeah, so I agree with what everyone else has said. Learn the foundations, learn learn how to think, because the thinking is what drives your work, and it's not the tools.
Awesome. Thanks, Jack.
Yeah. I've got some thoughts. I'll lead with another analogy that I really like. If you met a, professional chef and they told you that, they sometimes use the microwave, you'd be like, okay, yeah, I do too. But if you met a professional chef and said that they are a microwave-based chef, you'd be like, what the hell? And I think that's, I think AI is, and these tools are emerging and we need to be paying attention to them. But there's a level of understanding that needs to be had before leaning on these tools. I think the important thing to remember is that industrial design and design in general, but I think specifically industrial design, our output are the thing that we're getting paid to produce is not the sketches, it's not the renders, it's not often those are communication outputs, right? The thing that we are ultimately getting paid to do is create a set of instructions for a manufacturer that ensures a thoughtful and responsible product for an end user, right? The thing we're getting paid to make is an experience that translates to the end user, and all of the outputs up until that point are just the road to that output. So obviously the AI tools are going to help us achieve that in faster ways than we've ever had. But if you don't understand the direction you're going and the actual road to get there, the tools are just going to like lead you astray, and you're going to be driven by them rather than driving them.
All right. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Tyler. Great. Amazing answers. Yeah, and that's essentially the core of what Offsite, how we integrate that thinking into all of the courses, making sure that you are getting the best foundational content by these instructors so you can go out and do whatever you want with those skills and go and work. And I mean, industrial design is so vast compared to when I graduated from undergrad. You could like only do like 2 or 3 things. Now industrial designers are everywhere, which is pretty amazing. So with that being said, I'd love to hear from the alumni. I know Vinny said a couple things about how awesome we are. Julie, not so much. I don't know if Julie wants to make up for that. But I mean, Julie literally said, I became a CMF designer because we took a course. I mean, that's pretty big. I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit more on that journey. That's a pretty big deal, Julie. What is CMF and what is this course you talk about? Because our CMF instructor's not here today, so you can absolutely vouch for Rebecca.
Yes. So the CMF course is all about color, material, finish. You kind of do a project and explore trend forecasting, color tracking, and learn a bunch of skills that I did not learn in industrial design school. And I really love the class. I highly recommend it. And yeah.
Okay. Very nice. Awesome. And yeah, so this course is also, we don't offer it very often. We offer it once a year, sometimes twice a year. Again, all of the instructors that you see here, not only are they amazing instructors, but they are also working industrial designers within their own, either they work, you know, for their own brand or they work for other brands, you know, so we're all very much busy. I think there was a question here on how scheduling works. The timing of the courses all fluctuate in the spring and the summer and the fall, depending on the availability of these instructors. And also these instructors are all based all around the world. Because this program is all online, it's designed to be synchronous and asynchronous. You know, we get to tap into the best designers to teach courses. So that's pretty awesome that all you potential students have that you know, have access to the best designers teaching you the best content. We're not restricted by geography like traditional academia, and so that's pretty amazing there. I don't know if anyone else has any questions about anything. It can be about programming, about specific classes, about our instructors. But yeah, just want to open it up and answer any questions you guys might have. Yeah, feel free to, yeah, go ahead.
In terms of the application process, what kinds of things makes an applicant stand out and not for you guys?
Oh, that's a very good question. I don't know if anyone, well, I guess I'd be the best person to answer that question. During the application process, you fill out about a 5-minute form that asks you a couple of questions about who you are, and we ask you a couple of design related questions like tell tell us a time that you've solved the problem with a classmate, or we kind of ask you like 3 questions, and we just want to hear on how you approach things. We just want to know more a little about you. If you have any work samples, we'll ask you to upload those. We just want a general idea of kind of where you're coming from. We know that students are coming to us for help, so we don't have any, we don't deny people because you're coming to us for help, to grow, coming to us to help you get to where you're going. And so we want some context of where you're coming from, and that allows us to understand what your needs are, and it gives us an idea of. We also have a pretty amazing mentorship program. So during the application process, that gives us an idea of who would be ideal to pair you up with during our mentorship program. So it's not the application process is not like your traditional application process of getting into something. It's mostly us getting to know you and making sure that you're in the right place, making sure you're taking the right courses, and just making sure that we're helping you as much as possible. So you're here right now, and because your camera is on, I will remember you. Because this is an online program, usually when students have their camera on, I tend to be like, okay, this person was very engaging. They ask a lot of questions. It's really easy to remember your name. We're able to then make, recommendations and say, this person belongs with us, and, we'll be able to kind of support you and help you succeed. So
For this studio class, do you want to talk to them?
Yes. So the answer that I just gave was generally for regular offsite. For the offsite studio course, that is a little different because that is the first time that we're launching this type of course. Jack and I have been working on this for the last 3 or so weeks, last month pretty much, along with Dom in the beginning. As we kind of started this about a month and a half ago. That course is a little different because that course is probably the highest course that you can take here at Offsite. And you do need to submit a portfolio that showcases that you can design, that you have that design IQ that we're looking for. I don't know, Jack, if you have anything else to add, but we're only offering about 20 seats, and right now there's about 23 people that have applied. So Jack and I will have to look at the portfolios and determine who's going to be able to get into this course.
Yeah. The only thing I'd say is the reason for that is we are going to be running it like a studio project, and so we're going to be jamming. So we're not going to have like the time to be able to like stop and say, okay, this is how you build in CAD or whatever. It's like we're working at a higher level where it's like should be understood that like, okay, you know how to build in CAD, you know how to visualize in to a certain degree, and it's like, okay, we'll run it now. But like Hector said, like if you're not at that level right now, like there are tons of other courses. You could take Spencer's course, you could take the workflow course, you could take manufacturing course. It's like those are all foundational courses that can get you ready, because this is the studio project or the studio classes we're hoping to offer every year with different partners, and so we'll be able to have something next year. So if anybody is like not quite to the level this year, then it's like, okay, well, let's make sure that we can get you to the level next year that you'll be able to do it.
Yeah, and this is the kind of first time that we're doing this, and won't be the last time. We're already working with other brands to continue this type of course. So very excited about that. And we do have a couple questions here in the chat about the sketching courses. For the sketching courses, we'll be using traditional materials. Yeah, so for my course, you will be using traditional materials like markers. We have some here, some pen, some paper. I approach sketching as, sketching is supposed to be the most accessible the least financial, like you can literally, I'll teach you how to sketch with just literally a pen and paper, and then we'll build on that a little bit with markers. I try to make it as affordable as possible, because there shouldn't be any financial barriers to learning how to sketch. And then in Elodie's class, I don't know if that's something Elodie can answer, or it's the tools that you use.
Yeah. I wrote in the chat, but so I look into both the analog and digital, and even within that, for instance, in digital, I also show 2 different apps that I use according to the level of fidelity and how much speed I need and the purpose, etc. So we look into that, and for the analog, then I also approach like, is it in a workshop and then you only have a pen and paper available, or is it for preparing a more like a more precise sketch that you need to show for convincing, for instance, or is it for a nice illustration for a showcase or this kind of thing? So we also look at different type of analog tools as well. So both. But I also, like, if you don't have an iPad, for instance, I see mainly you ask, should you have an iPad or a tablet? If you don't have, that's also fine. I mean, you're not gonna, I guess, buy an iPad just to follow the class. Of course, I will touch upon how important it is to also have digital tool to create some visualization, especially if you do, for me at least, if I work on freelance project, then I rather show sketches early in the project than CADs and renders, and we talk about why. But yeah, ultimately it depends what tool you have, and I'm super flexible as well in depending, if you want to work on a project that's for your portfolio versus you are working on a project because you are doing, like personal project or So yeah, I'm super flexible in that sense that if you have a specific tool or a specific need, I would also give you the tools and the methods to work with.
I want to add something too, if that's okay. I think that I don't teach sketching for Offsite, but obviously you can see behind me, it's integral to my process. And I think it's just so important to build confidence between your mind and your hand. And just as an anecdote, I remember once I was working for a company, we were presenting a bunch of products to the lead buyer at the Apple Store, beautiful renders, months and months of work, and he just hated everything. And so I asked him, I was like, well, what is it that you need? And he described a product to me, and we were about to pack up. I was with the CEO of the company. We were about to pack up with nothing, and I just asked him, what do you need? He described it to me. I started drawing with a Sharpie on the back of the presentation, figuring out how it could be built on the spot in like 15 minutes as he's talking. I flipped it over. I was like, something like this. And he's like, I'd buy 150,000 units of that. 8 months later, it was in the Apple Store. And so to have that kind of fluidity with your thoughts, the confidence to collaborate is so important. We could have left with nothing. Instead, we left with everyone's Christmas bonus that year. So.
Yeah, and I've been in meetings where, you grab a piece of paper, index card, whatever, similar thing. Sometimes it's just so much easier to visually capture the insights or help guide people in the process than it is to use your words. And it doesn't have to be the flashiest thing, but it's easier to do that when you have the confidence and the range.
Yeah, and I always say the person that holds the pencil controls the conversation. All these people are talking. Everybody has an idea. You put something on paper, you show it to people, all of a sudden that's what they're doing.
Yep. We have a question here, and just to give everyone a heads up, we got about 10 more minutes. So right now would be a great time to ask those questions. So go ahead, Matthew. I think you're muted.
Sorry about that. Thanks. I just wanted to follow up on something you said, Hector, regarding the timing of the courses. I'm wondering if you mentioned that they're both synchronous and asynchronous. Is that obviously, I guess, in person would be ideal, but if the times didn't work with that, is that is that acceptable to to attend, a course asynchronous, or how does that work?
Yeah, we've had a lot of students who, are working full time. They might have other, responsibilities and just can't attend the live courses, and they keep up using the recorded sessions. When that happens, we usually recommend that the student engages with our Slack community, make sure that they're constantly checking in to try to keep up if you're doing it, if you're doing it the recorded path. Because
Okay.
it is a little harder. We do recommend you do it like if you are going to take a course or courses with us, try to do it live with the instructor present and your classmates, just because you're going to get so much out of it, a lot
Sure.
more obviously than the recorded stuff. But even if you attend it live, all of you are going to get the recorded content regardless. You're still gonna get it in your inbox.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Thanks for.
I think like it's also just a good moment to talk about how Slack is a little bit of our home base, and every course has its own kind of private Slack channel just for that, the people who are in that cohort of that course. And it's like, I don't know, different instructors use them differently, but from business and design, it's usually pretty lively. And then there are other like breakout, different Slack channels, and it's a really great, people just will be like, oh, like, what's your opinion of this? Or I'm working on that. And I think it's like such a great way to do that. And then we also have the studio channel for as like it's like an open video call that's going all the time, that students from different courses join and to ask questions and share work, and instructors join. So there's a lot of different ways to interact if you can't join synchronously.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a question here from Jalen.
Hey, can you guys hear me? Sweet.
Yep.
Michael, I have a question, I think mostly for you. I'm looking at your course, and I was curious how it would apply for like a smaller startup or like me as a sole proprietor kind of a person, if you think there'd be value there as well, or I mean, not that I'm only going to ever be that, but yeah.
Definitely. There's kind of 5 key modules to the business and design course, and it's all designed to just help you be a more effective designer, whether you're working in-house, corporate, or you're working at a consulting agency, or you're a freelancer. And so the 5 different modules are: one, just kind of understanding kind of corporate structures and how business people judge design. So whether you're in-house or you're consulting, a lot of times we're not presenting to other designers. We're presenting to a non-designer. And the more we get excited about this like first in the world innovative idea, the more you're actually scaring the crap out of them. And so helping you to understand what's important to them so you can better present your ideas and they move forward. That's the first module. When we get into a little bit of like the history of design leadership, industrial design has existed since the Industrial Revolution, and there's been a lot of different leaders that you can model your career off of. Then we talk about marketing positioning statements and how those affect what effectively industrial design can and can't do within a brand. Oftentimes we talk about design language system, and then the last module is more of a real, it's a 2-week module, like jump starter on like writing proposals. How do you set an hourly rate? What's usually in a contract, things like that. And again, even that's great for freelancers. If you're working for a firm, it's important to understand, because the partners in your firm, that's what they're thinking about. I remember when I was first out of school and I was working on a project, I was working for a small firm, and I wasn't happy with what I did that week. So I worked on it all weekend. And I was so excited to come in and show my boss. And my boss was like, dude, you totally like screwed all the hours on this project. You basically like burned all the hours. I had no idea. And then even if you're internally, you might have to write a project scope internally, or you might get to the point where you get to hire a freelancer. And how do you sort through proposals? So anyway, that's the course in a nutshell. Jalen, does that answer your question?
Totally, yeah. That sounds super
Okay.
interesting. I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right. I know we have a question here by Vincent in the chat. what are the time demands of these courses? Like how many courses could someone take while working full time? Vincent, you can take all the courses if you want, all at once. What I am going to tell, or what I'm going to recommend to you is, obviously if you're working full time, or if you're not and you have something else going on, I would recommend you prioritize 1 or 2 courses that you can really lock in and really attend live and really engage, versus try to, kind of bite too much. Because we've experienced both. We've had students that have taken 6 courses and they work, and they end up just attending and really prioritizing one anyway. For us, what really matters is that you do this intentionally, and you really succeed, so that we can help you out as much as possible. Yeah.
I was gonna say I need to drop, but I just wanted to say, like, for my class, every course is different. But for my course, there's 5 homework assignments. 3 of the 5 homework assignments should take you 2 to 3 hours tops. The other 2 are a little bit longer. Depends on how much you want to spend on them. You might only spend 3 hours on them. You might spend 10 hours on them. But just to give you a sense, 5 assignments over 10 weeks. So we try to keep it pretty manageable. I got to drop. Really great seeing all of you. Sorry, I got to drop a little early.
Thanks, Michael.
On that note, yeah, every instructor is different. To Hector's point, you could do everything, or maybe you're most interested in the studio workflow and portfolio bootcamp or something, and that's what you focus on. That's fine. I would say that that's a good strategy to have. But also just ask each instructor. I can tell you, like, design discourse, it's mostly conversation. Like I said, kind of think of it like an interactive podcast and discussion group. There are assignments and they're fun. Like, one of them is keep track of all your trash for a week and document with photos to give you perspective on your impact. It's gonna make you a better designer. Okay. But you don't have to do it. It's there, but you don't have to do it. And I give a journal as a part of the course, or I have in the past rather, where you can take your own notes and go through at your own pace. Digital tools, very intense. The first few weeks. That's typically how I teach my skills-based classes, and then towards the end, you'll have time to kind of refine. So an assignment might take 2 or 3 weeks instead of, every week we're doing something. And then some courses will have in-class activities. It just depends. So I would say if you're concerned about a specific one, just ask us questions. I don't know if there's any way to capture homework load there, Hector, and maybe communicate that out. But it's a good question, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's like Julie said, that we don't give you grades, right? Because this isn't school. What matters here is the work, right? The work that you put in, and making sure that you're getting feedback by all your instructors. Make sure that we're guiding you, and our marker for success is that all of you, whatever your goal is here, is hopefully getting into industry, and that's essentially how we measure your growth here. So we don't give you a grade, but yeah, in my sketching course, it is also very intense, because you have to learn how to sketch, and there's a lot of muscle memory, a lot of working out, similar to Spencer's digital tools course. It's yeah, so it will vary, and but yeah, it really comes down to the course. Some courses are more lecture based, some are very hands-on. Any other final questions, or any other final closing remarks by our instructors or alumni? No? Okay. Just a reminder, our courses for Early Bird wrap up on Friday. And then there's about a week and a half before we actually kick things off. So just want to put it out there. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm going to put my email here in the chat. Feel free to reach out to set up a one-on-one video chat. Any questions you might have, anything that we can do to help you But thank you all for your time. Thanks for being here. And we hope we see you soon. Thanks to all of the instructors and alumni. Really appreciate your time. And have a wonderful Wednesday.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
We'll see ya.